All right, guys. Today we're going to talk about what makes a function and what exactly a function is. So we've been kind of tiptoeing around that idea. We've been graphing linear functions and looking at nonlinear functions and things like that. We talked about domain and range yesterday, but what makes a function a function? Okay, so a function is a type of relation, meaning you have two sets of numbers and they are related. So we call those, your input and your output. We have a lot of different names for them, so let's just kind of write that down real quick, okay? So what are your different numbers? You had your, first we call them x and y, then we call them x and f of x, then we call them your inputs, your outputs. You could call them like an if then statement, like if I put in this value for x, then this value comes out for y. And what we introduced yesterday was the ideas of they could be your domain and your range. Okay, so we have a lot of different ways we describe these things, and they're all pretty much the same. Okay, the inputs and outputs, right? So a function is a specific relation where every input, any number that you put in, has at most one output. Okay, so at most. So really, your choices are you can, for every x you put in, you could have no output or one output, right? That is at most one. So you could have none or you could have one. That's it, okay? If you have more than one output, it's not a function. It's a different relation. So today we're going to talk about what that means. And really, we get very bogged down in this definition about a function is a relation where every input has at most one output. So every x, you can either have one answer or no answers. If you have two answers, it's not a function. Really, though, what it's going to come down to is what we actually use functions for. So let's take a look at something that is a function. So from a graph. Yeah, most people find it. If I gave you something like this, okay? This is a function, okay? This is a function. More specifically, this is a linear function, okay? So what does it mean? For every x that I put in, I get one y out, right? When I put in 2, I get this. When I put in 3, I get this. When I put 4, I get this, okay? Something that's not a function. Something very useful that's not a function. So I don't want you guys to write things off just because they're not functions. So I'll show you guys a very useful shape, a very useful idea that's not a function. A circle. A circle is not a function, okay? And so what happens is, again, if I put in 1, say for example, well, I get two different answers. I get this positive 1 up here, but I also get a negative 1 down here. So there's two answers for 1. In fact, there's two answers for all these points, right? There's 1 up and 1 down, okay? Right, there's two answers for all these. So for this, everything has one answer. For this, everything has two answers. So this is a function, and this is not a function. And again, if you think about this, circles are still useful. Circles are very practical ideas. Generally speaking, things that we classify as functions are things that we're going to track to gather data over a specific interval of time. As one thing happens, how does the other one react? Things that are not functions, this is a geometry question, right? We'll talk about this next year when you guys get into 10th grade. This is a geometry question, right? This is how do we make a circle that will, best fit a car wheel or something like that, right? How do we make a gear the right size? These are geometry questions. These are not relations between inputs and outputs the same way. So we get very bogged down into it. It has to have one output or no outputs, otherwise it's not a function. Also came out like what you're actually going to use this stuff for. Okay. So to determine from a graph what it is, we use something called the vertical line test. Okay, so the vertical line test. First of all, I just want to throw this out there. A vertical line is a line that goes up and down. Okay, so say I give you something like this, and I'm going to put a shape on here. I'm going to put a parabola on here, right? So I'm going to put something like this on there. Parabola is one of the shapes we're going to talk about. Okay. Sorry, I messed that up a little bit. Okay, so as we can, right? No, I'm still an eraser. Pen. Oh, I broke it. Pause. Sorry, I upset the smartboard software. It stopped working for a second. All right. So the vertical line test, I'm sorry. So if we drew something like this, right? Now this is nonlinear, right? The key thing you have to ask yourself is, if I draw a vertical line, right, at any point will it pass through 2 points? No, it passes through 1 point. 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 And so on and so forth. There's no point where it passes over more than once, right? So this passes the vertical line test. Okay, so we say yes, this is a function. Okay. Sometimes they might just give you guys just a whole bunch of points, right? So let's take a look at a couple different things. Okay, so what if I said I don't know, what if I turned that same shape sideways? And I said, is this a function? So we're going to take that same shape we just saw and said, is this a function? And the answer is no, because if I start drawing vertical lines, I'm sorry, I should need to draw them straight up and down. I'm sorry, it's very hard to do on this pad. So no, this not a function, not a function. You say why? It fails the vertical line test. Okay? So again, whenever you have something like this, where it crosses over more than one time, it fails the vertical line test. So let's take a look at a couple like that, okay? Something like this. Is this a function? This blue line right here, is this a function? Yes. Why? Because look at all your vertical lines. And at no point does it pass over 2 times, right? The second one, is this a function? No, it's not a function, because right here, it fails 2 times. Now, it's good here, it's good here, it's good here, it's good here. As soon as it fails 1 time, not a function. Okay? So I don't know if they have any more. Okay? So let's take a look at these points right here. Are these a function? Well, take a vertical line. No. 1, 1, 1, 1. Totally fine, right? Because wherever I draw it, even though they're individual points, no matter where I draw a vertical line, it passes, right? Up here, if you take a look real close right here, there's a point there and a point there, both on the y-axis. I'm going to draw a blue dot there so you guys can see it. This would fail the vertical line test because if I draw a vertical line right here, it crosses over 2 times. So no good, not a function. All right? The next thing we're going to take a look at are mappings like this. Okay? This right here labels all your x values, your inputs, and all your outputs as y values. Okay, but we said by definition, where is it? A function is a relation where every input has at most 1 output. Okay? Therefore, this is not a function because look, when I input 0, I can't get out -2 and 1. That's no good. I can't get 2 outputs from my 1 input, so this is not a function. Okay? Scrolling down, something like this. Is this a function? Well, -1 makes 2, 0 makes 2, 1 makes -3, 2 makes -2. Yeah, everything has 1 output. Now, if you notice, -1 and 0 both make 2. That's okay. You can have 2 different numbers have the same output. But again, what you're looking for is there an x value that gives you 2 or more different y values. So this is a function. So this is good. Okay. Good. And the last thing they can do is what we were looking at yesterday. They could just give you a list of points. Okay. So I'm looking for just a list of points. Do we have one just got a list of points? No, I gotta get up that sheet from yesterday. They don't. Okay. So, oh yes, they do. Okay. So say they just gave you these points right here, right? Well, notice 2 gives me -3. 2 also gives me 4, and 2 also gives me -1. So if we graph these points out, you know, something like 2, -3, 2, 4, and 2, -1 definitely fails the vertical line test. So this is no, not a function. Okay, so again, if you see repeated x values, not a function. Okay, this one over here, and they love doing this where they give you these mixed up numbers. I have a 2 here as my x value, a 6 here as my x value, 2 different numbers, function. Okay, again, I showed you guys a vertical line test because a lot of people like they just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. A lot of people just like to graph out their points. No, that's fine. It's totally a function. Good. Okay, here, let's take a look. I've got -3 as an input, -2 as an input, -1 as an input, 3 as an input. Everything's a unique point, therefore passes the vertical line test. This is a function. Again, if you want to take a second to graph it, go out and graph it. -1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, -2, 1, 2, 3, 4. -1, -1, and 1, 2, 3, -1. Okay, so this passed the vertical line test. At no point does a vertical line pass through 2 different points. Now this last one right here, x is equal to -1. I'm sorry, is equal to -2. If you guys remember what that looks like, that in itself is a vertical line. That's what that line looks like. So is this a function? No. Any x equals line? No. Not a function, right? Because it fails the vertical line test right here, okay, where all the answers exist, right? Let's just go over a few of these, and I'll switch you guys through it. So, is this a function? Yes. It's a neat and orderly function. Every x input has 1 output. Totally fine. Okay? Is this a function? No. So let's say yes. Function. Is this a function? No. 3 makes 1, and 3 also makes 5. No good. Okay, so again, if we wrote these out as points, 3, 1, 3, 5, repeated x value, no good. Over here, I have 1, 2, 3 different x values. That's fine. Okay. Over here, no, we already went over that. Circle fails the vertical line test, right? So right here, anywhere you want, it fails the vertical line test right there. Passes through 2 points. Okay. We went over these, and I think that's it. That's really it, guys. There's not too much to this. So again, just pretty much what are you looking for? If there's any repeated x value, not a function, okay? And that's about it. So I'm going to assign you guys some IXL things to do, and have a look, and good luck.